Picture yourself caught in a storm. The wind howls, rain pounds, and the ground shakes beneath you. But this isn't a storm of thunder and lightning, it's a storm of life. Maybe it's a bill you can't pay, a heartbreak that hits hard, or a quiet ache in your soul you can't quite name. Sound familiar? We've all been there, facing moments when it feels like the world might crumble. But what if there's a force strong enough to hold you steady, even when everything else falls apart? That force is faith in God. It's not a quick fix that makes problems vanish, but it's a light to guide you, an anchor to ground you, a whisper that says, "You've got this." Let's take a journey together to see how faith in God can strengthen your mind, give you courage, and bring peace that carries you through. Stick with me, this path might just change how you face life. Faith isn't just believing God exists. It's trusting He's with you, even when the odds seem stacked against you. It's like gripping a rope in the dark, knowing it'll lead you to safety. You might be wondering, how can faith help when I'm at my breaking point? Great question. Faith doesn't stop the storms, but it changes how you weather them. It gives you a new perspective to see challenges, fresh strength to keep going, and a peace that calms even if it doesn't explain. Think of someone you know, or maybe yourself, facing something tough, a loss, an uncertainty, a personal battle. Faith is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Let's explore how faith in God can make you mentally tougher, no matter what life throws your way. So grab a coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive into how faith can be the foundation that keeps you standing. Ever feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders? Maybe it's an argument that won't leave your mind, or a worry that steals your sleep. In those moments, faith in God becomes your bedrock. It's not about pretending problems don't exist, it's about finding an inner strength to face them. Take Sarah, a single mom who got hit with a sudden medical diagnosis. Bills piled up and fear started to take over. But Sarah had something to hold on to, her faith. Every morning she prayed, not for the problems to disappear, but for the strength to keep moving forward. Slowly, something shifted, not her circumstances, but her mindset. Faith helped her see possibilities where she once saw only dead ends. She started tackling challenges with courage, trusting God was by her side. Faith is like an anchor in the chaos. You'll still feel fear or doubt, those don't vanish, but faith reminds you there's something bigger than the problem in front of you. It's like God saying, "I see you, and I'm right here." That certainty changes everything. It's what gets you out of bed when your heart feels heavy. It's what gives you the strength to take the next step, even when the path looks foggy. Let's talk about building your life on something unshakable. Imagine a house by the ocean. Waves crash, winds roar, and storms hit hard. If that house is built on sand, it's not long for this world. But if it's built on solid rock, no storm can take it down. Faith in God is that rock. Jesus said in Matthew 7 that those who hear His words and follow them are like someone building on a rock. Life will bring storms, job troubles, family fights, or hidden struggles no one sees. But with faith in God, you've got a foundation that holds firm. Consider Job's story. He had it all: family, wealth, health. Then, in a flash, he lost nearly everything: his kids, his livelihood, his health. Most people would have given up, but Job had faith. Even in his pain, he declared, "I know that my Redeemer lives." Job 19:25. He didn't understand why he was suffering, but he trusted God had a purpose, and in time God restored him, giving him even more than he'd lost. Job's faith was the rock that kept him steady when his world fell apart. Now think about someone like Emily. She's a teacher who faced a crumbling marriage and mounting debt. The stress felt unbearable, but Emily had a habit. Every night she'd read a psalm and pray. It wasn't fancy, just a quiet moment with God. Over time, she noticed a change. Even with the same problems, she felt a strength she couldn't explain. It was like God whispering, "You're not alone." That faith became her rock, helping her face each day with resilience. What's holding you up when life feels like it's falling apart? Maybe you're in a storm right now, a conflict, an uncertainty, or a sense that nothing's going right. Faith in God doesn't promise the waves will stop, but it guarantees you won't sink. It's a foundation no one can shake. And here's the best part: when you build on this rock, you start seeing life differently. Instead of feeling defeated, you begin to believe you can overcome. Let's talk about that next. When life knocks you down, it's easy to start thinking like you're already beaten. Ever hear that voice in your head saying, "This won't work out, you're not enough," or "This is too big for you"? Faith in God flips that script. It gives you a mindset of victory, even before you see the outcome. It's like stepping into a fight knowing the war's already won. And no one shows us this better than David, the young shepherd who took on a giant named Goliath. Picture the scene. Goliath, a towering warrior with heavy armor, taunting an entire army. David, just a kid with a slingshot and a few stones. Everyone's soldiers, friends, even the king thought he was crazy. But David didn't focus on the giant's size. He focused on God's power. In 1 Samuel 17, he says, "The Lord who rescued me from the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine." David had no doubts. His faith let him see victory before he even swung his slingshot. And with one well-aimed stone, the giant fell. David won because his mind was anchored in God, not the odds. Now meet Jake, an everyday guy like you or me. He dreamed of starting a non-profit to help his community, but early on, everything went wrong. Donations dried up, volunteers bailed, and people told him, "Give up, it's not worth it." Jake almost listened. But one night, in prayer, he felt a shift. It was like God saying, "Trust me, one step at a time." Jake started his thoughts. Instead of dwelling on setbacks, he looked for lessons in each failure, believing God was guiding him. Slowly, the non-profit grew. It wasn't overnight, but faith gave Jake a winner's mindset. He stopped seeing himself as a failure and started trusting he could succeed with God's help. What's filling your mind when things get tough? Faith in God is like a switch that turns on hope. It reminds you that no matter how big the problem looks, God is bigger. When you trust He's in control, that voice of defeat fades and a voice of victory takes over. It's like swapping out blurry glasses for clear ones. You suddenly see the path ahead. It's not about ignoring challenges. It's about facing them with the confidence that you're not alone. And when you think like that, something else shifts. Fear starts to lose its grip. Let's explore that. Fear has a way of creeping in at the worst times. That tight knot in your chest when you're facing a big decision, an unknown future, or the chance of failure. It's real. We all feel it. But faith in God has a way of making that shadow shrink. It's like flipping on a bright light that pushes fear back. The Bible gives us a perfect example with Peter, the disciple who, for a moment, walked on water. Imagine it. It's nighttime. The sea is rough, and the disciples are in a boat, battling waves. Suddenly, they see Jesus walking on the water. Peter, bold as ever, says, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you." Jesus says, "Come." And Peter steps out and walks on water. But then he notices the wind and waves, and fear kicks in. He starts to sink. In Matthew 14, Jesus grabs him and says, "Why did you doubt?" Peter's problem wasn't the storm, it was taking his eyes off Jesus. When he focused on Christ, he walked. When he focused on the waves, he sank out. Now think about Mia, a recent college grad offered a dream job across the country. It was everything she wanted, but fear screamed, "What if you fail? What if you're alone? What if it's not what you expect?" She almost turned it down. But one morning, reading her Bible, she stumbled on Psalm 56:3, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." It hit hard. She started praying for courage to take the leap. Every time fear crept in, she reminded herself to focus on God, not the what-ifs. Mia took the job, and though it wasn't all smooth sailing, her faith helped her face each challenge with a lighter heart. Fear is real, and faith doesn't mean pretending it's not there. It's about choosing where to focus. When you fixate on the problem, it grows. When you fixate on God, it shrinks. The road won't always be easy, but faith means you can walk it, even scared, knowing God's got your hand. And when you face fear like that, you find something else, a peace that defies logic. Let's talk about that next. Anxiety is an energy thief. It's that heavy what-if loop in your mind. What if I can't make rent? What if my health fails? What if I let everyone down? Anxiety chains you to the future, but faith in God is the key that sets you free. Philippians 4:6-7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds." At peace is like a cool breeze on a stormy day, calming your soul even when the chaos lingers. Take Olivia, a small business owner overwhelmed by debt and slow sales. Nights were sleepless, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. One day a mentor shared that Philippians verse with her. Olivia decided to try it. She started praying not long polished prayers, just honest ones. "God, I'm scared. Help me." Something shifted. The debts didn't vanish, and sales didn't skyrocket. But a new calm settled in. It was like God saying, "I've got this." Olivia found she could work with clearer focus, rest better, and even smile more. This peace isn't about problems disappearing. It's about knowing you don't carry the weight alone. It's like being in a boat on a stormy sea, but trusting the one steering knows the way. Have you tried it? Just talking to God like a friend, handing over your worries, even for a moment. Give it a shot. When you do, your faith grows stronger, and that strength is forged in trials. Let's see how muscles don't grow sitting on the couch. They need resistance, effort, pain. Faith is the same. It gets stronger when it's tested. Those moments that make you want to quit, they're like workouts for your trust in God. James 1:2-3 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Joy in pain sounds odd, but trials make faith real. Think of Mark, a firefighter who faced a career-ending injury. The loss of his job shook his identity and depression crept in. But instead of giving up, Mark leaned into his faith. He prayed, read scripture, and asked for strength to keep going. Some days he felt stuck, but over time he noticed he was more resilient, more hopeful. His faith grew, not despite the injury but because of it. Eventually he found a new calling, mentoring young firefighters. His faith stronger than ever. About you, Ever felt tested by a tough season, a job loss, a health scare, an inner struggle? Those trials aren't the end. They're the gym where your faith gets stronger. Each time you choose to trust God, even when you don't get it, you grow. And that strength prepares you for something else, making wise choices, not emotional ones. Let's dive into that. Life's full of crossroads. Forgive or hold a grudge, take a risk or play it safe. Speak up or stay quiet. Emotions like fear, anger, or anxiety can scream loud, trying to steer you. But faith in God is like a compass, guiding you to choose with wisdom, not just feeling. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." It's like having a guide who knows the best route. Consider Rachel, a nurse who dealt with a toxic coworker constantly undermining her. Anger boiled, and she wanted to lash out or quit. But one evening, in prayer, she felt a nudge. Don't react in anger. Trust me. Rachel chose to listen. Instead of snapping back, she treated her coworker with kindness, though it was tough. She prayed for patience before every shift. Over time, something shifted. Her coworker softened, and the workplace became less tense. Rachel's faith choice didn't just fix the situation, it made her stronger. Ever faced a tough call? Maybe you're at a crossroads now. Faith doesn't spell out every detail, but it gives clarity. It helps you see beyond the moment, to choose what's right, what honors God. And when you choose with that trust, you unlock something else, the patience to wait for God's timing. Let's talk about that. Waiting is hard. We live in a world that demands instant results and search breakthroughs, change. But faith in God teaches you there's a season for everything. Ecclesiastes stress says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Faith gives you the patience to trust God's clock, even when it feels slow. Look at Hannah's story. She prayed for a child for years, facing heartbreak as time dragged on. Others might have given up, but Hannah kept trusting. In 1 Samuel 1, her faith led to fervent prayer, and in God's time, she gave birth to Samuel. Contrast that with King Saul, who, in 1 Samuel 13, couldn't wait for the prophet Samuel and made a rash sacrifice. His impatience cost him his kingdom. Hannah's faith led to blessing. Saul's haste led to loss. Now, meet Alex, a young entrepreneur chasing a big deal to save his startup. Months passed with no progress, and he felt God had forgotten him. But a pastor's words stuck. Trust God's timing. He's preparing you. Alex kept working, praying and waiting. When the deal finally came, it wasn't just the contract, it was the confidence that God had been with him all along, shaping him for more. Ever feel like you're waiting too long for something? A job, a breakthrough, healing? Faith helps you wait without despair, knowing God's timing is perfect. And while you wait, you discover something deeper, who you really are. Let's explore that. In a world obsessed with likes, followers, and approval, it's easy to seek worth in others' opinions. Am I enough? Do people like me? Faith in God frees you from that trap. It reminds you your identity isn't in what others say, it's in who God says you are. Jesus modeled this. He faced rejection, betrayal, and criticism, yet stood firm because he knew he was God's beloved son. Take Ethan, a high schooler bullied for being uncool. The taunts made him feel worthless, but at a youth group he heard, "You're loved by God, created with purpose." Ethan started reading scripture, finding verses like Psalm 139-14. "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Slowly, he stopped chasing approval. He carried himself with new confidence, even helping other kids who felt left out. His identity in God made him unshakable. Where do you look for validation? Faith invites you to look to God. When you know you're loved and created with purpose, criticism loses its sting, and that sets you up for one final truth. Faith restores you after a fall. Let's close with that. Nobody likes admitting they've messed up, but we all do. A bad choice, a moment of weakness, failure stings. The good news, faith in God is the hand that lifts you when you think you're done. Look at Peter. He was Jesus' bold disciple, yet under pressure, he denied him 3 times. The guilt must have crushed him. But in John 21, Jesus meets him on a beach and, with a simple question, "Do you love me?" restores him. Peter rises ready to lead with courage. Now, think of Lauren, who battled addiction that cost her job and strained her family. She felt beyond saving. But at a support group, she heard about God's relentless love. Lauren started praying, seeking help, and trusting God could rebuild her. It wasn't easy, but step by step, she regained her family's trust and her sense of self. Faith reminded her that with God there's always a fresh start. Ever feel like you failed, too big to recover? Faith says no. God specializes in redeeming what seems lost, turning broken pieces into something new. We've walked this path together, and here's what I want you to carry. Faith in God isn't just a belief, it's a force that transforms your mind, heart, and life. It's the foundation for storms, the mindset for victory, the courage against fear, the peace in anxiety, the strength in trials, the wisdom in decisions, the patience in waiting, the identity in God's love, and the restoration after a fall. It's a well that never runs dry, a flame that never fades. Where are you today, in a storm, waiting, or needing a fresh start? Try this. Tonight, talk to God. Share what's heavy on your heart. Read a verse, maybe Psalm 23 or Philippians 4. Trust Him. Faith doesn't promise a perfect life, but it promises you'll never face it alone. With God, you can not only survive the storms, but learn to thrive in them. Thanks for walking with me. Now go, let faith make you stronger.